Hey, brother. Doug's Village Fantasy Football League. This is T-Pain with you, with my brother.
Dill.
All right, so, it's 2018-2019 fantasy football season. We're here. This is our show called Wilson Time. This is to bring you on to our spectrum of fantasy football as we talk about it every single day to one another. We are bringing you in. All right, so first we're going to talk about the expectations for the year. Dylan, how do you see this year playing out with our league?
I think that we're going to have a lot more activity this year. I'm super excited for it. I believe that there's going to be a lot more trading. People are going to be more prepared this year. I think it's going to be an overall just great year. I think that it's going to be super competitive going into the playoffs, which I'm pretty stoked for.
Do you see, because we always know there's a certain few people that trade all the time, and the Gobbies, and then we got you and Calvin, everybody making little moves here and there. Do you think maybe some unexpected people will come up? Maybe, Jesse will get in the mix, Trone, who knows? Do you think that we'll see a little more activity from them?
I think that Trone is eventually going to have to make a trade, so hoping this is the year.
It is a big part of fantasy football.
I think that Jaden will be in there a little bit more. I just think overall everyone's actually going to be kind of participating a little more as far as trades go. Everyone's going to be a little more aware of stuff, especially with Garrett's trade raping.
For sure. Watch out, Mitch. All right. So, expectations for the year. Like you were saying, I think a lot more activity. I'm very curious about the whole auction bidding and how free agency is going to go. Like last year and the year before, I know some of us stay up really late trying to get that number one waiver pick and all that good stuff. The auction bidding, I think, is going to make it a little bit more strategic. So I think that's something that I'm really looking forward to in this year. So
yeah, I think that adds a pretty cool dynamic to our league. Super stoked for it. I think that it's going to kind of balance out the league a little bit more, and the strategy of just sitting on that first waiver pickup,
for sure,
or that first spot in the waiver there, especially when you're a team that's already stacked. It's going to give people a little more opportunity. Especially if you value a player over another. Or like somebody else.
Now, what do you? How did you feel? Because we obviously had some discussions and some polls that we did this year for rules within the league. So obviously auction bidding got passed, but decimals did not. Were you the one that was for or against decimals?
If I'm correct on this, I can't actually technically vote.
Yeah, you're a committee member, but I'm saying in general,
In general, I do like the idea of decimals because I hate time. I think time is stupid. It makes no sense for our league, especially when it comes to playoff standings, because the way that the tie works on there doesn't necessarily count for a loss, and so when it's going to playoff time there, that really could factor in, have like substantial impact. So I don't know. I was hoping for decimals to be passed this year, but hey, that's always next year.
The league voted and the league said, so that's where we're at.
We are democracy.
All right. So we have the expectations for the year. Let's think about the draft. Shit show or not. So obviously, I think a majority of us would say that it's going to be a shit show. We're making our way down from Oregon to the nice, beautiful desert that's going to be 100 degrees, Las Vegas, Nevada. So this should be a very interesting draft and very interesting trip, I think. How do you see this playing out?
I think it's going to be a lot different than prior years.
Yeah.
Well, one, like I said, I do feel like everyone's going to be a lot more prepared compared to the last couple of years. But yeah, I think it's going to be an organized shit show. I think that especially the people in Vegas are going to be, I don't know, some people might be struggling a little bit more, but I think ultimately people will pull together. And I think that all the people that aren't going to be in Vegas might try and take advantage of that a little bit. So we'll see what happens. But I also see, some people reaching on players, just like in years past with Brandon taking Andrew Luck in the first round and shit like that. Like, I would not be surprised I don't know, our league is, you never really could tell what's actually going to happen. As much mock drafts as I do, it just doesn't seem like it ever plays out the same way that I'd see our league playing out.
No, yeah, for sure. My biggest takeaways going to Vegas here is I'm trying to figure out. I really want to see if we can collectively come up with a decision for Chiefs Sacco punishment. Now we have some ideas. We've been brewing a little bit. So I'm just hoping we can get Chief to do something very embarrassing. And don't worry, Chief, we won't put it on Twitter, so all of your famous clientele did not see that. So you'll be all good. But I'm really looking forward to going to Vegas. I think it should be a good time. Some of us will release some demons, which will be good. No organization whatsoever, I don't think. We obviously are trying to organize things, but you know how it goes, especially when you have like 8 or 9 people going. I think it's really hard to keep everybody in sync. So I think it's going to be a really big shit show. I hope we all get really drunk and we all have a really good time.
Maybe Chief's cycle punishment should be going to the grocery store.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it's the grocery store. Okay. But anyways, all right. So besides that, we're going to go to our next event, Talking Shit or Talking Sense. Now, what this basically is, it's our little spin on breakouts and busts. Your breakouts are going to be talking sense because these people are going to see an increase in activity, increase in points. We think that these people are being drafted lower and that it could be valued more. So Dylan, how about you start us off with your breakouts?
So my first breakout is Trey Burton. I think we have him. We found out that he is consensus ranking tight end number 9 in ESPN, and for me, I think that that's too low for him. But I don't know. You know, for the most part, tight ends are already kind of a scarce position, so you know the value with them, anyways. Well, they're actually more devalued, in my opinion. But I think that if you're looking for anybody with top 10 upside. You know, he fits the bill. He's going into a new system. He got paid, you know, a bunch of money to go play for the Bears. I think
an absurd amount of money for somebody who was a backup.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Philadelphia recognized his talent, but they just, you know, they already had Zach Ertz, so they couldn't really keep him. Mm-hmm. So by him going over there, I think the guy's name is Matt Nagy, who's doing the play calling for the Bears there. He was at Kansas City prior and worked with Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce ran a lot more of the traditional tight end routes, so I can see a lot more of that going towards Trey Burton. And, I mean, yeah, we'll see what Allen Robinson does coming back from the injury, but a lot of those other players are kind of unproven still. Yeah. And so, you know, if they're projecting that Trubisky's going to be tossing that rock around, I mean, I think that, you know, the tight end is always a QB safety blanket, and so –
yeah, especially with Trubisky, you know, taking that step forward. I also think like the tight end is usually going to be more reliable than your wide receivers, and I think Trubisky is still trying to get used to NFL defenses. This is his second year, so might feel a little more comfortable. But I don't think he's going to go out of his comfort zone. I think he will rely on his tight end. Yeah. Honestly, when he had Zach Miller, he was going to him a lot, and Zach Miller got injured. So I think that's actually a really good breakout. Who else you got?
Our boy from the U of O, let's go Ducks. Old Royce Freeman, buddy. Yeah, I think he's going to teach this year. For one, we all seen him run at Oregon. We all know the tools that he has. But Devontae Booker, who's been on their squad now for I think like 2 or 3 years, hasn't done anything, even when the opportunities were there. I just don't feel like he's like built as an NFL.
He's mediocre. Like,
yeah,
you know, nothing exciting.
Right.
You know, can't block well. Like just a mediocre running back. So I could easily see Royce taking that.
Yeah, and so I mean, you're talking. You know, in my opinion, I'm projecting him at like running back 2 numbers, like a safe running back 2. We'll see where he goes because I've seen in a lot of mock drafts, and you know, he's been getting a lot of spotlight in the media there, and so I know he's been raising up in ADP, but. You know, I'm just kind of curious, too, because we do have a lot of Oregon homers, of course. And so, who's going to be reaching for him? Because I know somebody is.
Somebody's going to be reaching.
And those running backs are scarce in our league. So.
No, definitely. I think Royce Freeman's actually a really good breakout just because he does have such low expectations right now. Just because, like, he is a rookie and he's coming out. And he wasn't that coveted coming into the draft. And it was because he was overshadowed by, like, Ronald Jones and Saquon Barkley and Rashad Penny and all those guys. Those guys got all the spotlight. Like, Royce Freeman was Royce Freeman was doing, you know, setting records at U of O. So definitely overlooked. I think those are 2 good breakouts.
What about you? Who's talking sense for you?
So I'm going to start out with the QB. I'm thinking Marcus Mariota is going to, you know, kick it off this year. I think last year was another Duck. But no, last year, you know, mediocre. He's been injured every single year. You know, like he's a mobile quarterback, so he injures himself a lot. I think he has a lot of weapons now. With Tywan Taylor, he has Rashard Matthews. Corey Davis should be
coming back.
Yeah, Corey Davis should be completely good to go. Last year he was injured, and he was like people were predicting him to be their breakout star. And then obviously Delaney Walker and Dion Lewis out of the backfield. So I think he has a lot more weapons. They still have a good offensive line. That defense is going to get them into really good scoring positions because they got a stout defense. And Mike Vrabel, obviously, former Pat, amazing defensive scheme. So I think they'll do really good.
So what do you think is the ceiling then? Like,
I think honestly he's
put him in top 10.
So he's being drafted as like the 16th ranked quarterback right now, which obviously is still that's not even a starter in our league, and that's not a starter in most leagues. I think by the end of the year he's going to be a top 10 quarterback just because he can use his legs, and I think with the amount of weapons he has, definitely he could be pushing up to 30 touchdowns. So if he can get 30 touchdowns passing and maybe 4 or 5 on the ground, which would not be hard, I think that he would be top 10 easily.
I did actually hear an interesting stat the other day, and it was something around 54% of undrafted QBs. And granted, this is probably like 10 or 12 team standard, but it was like around 54% of undrafted QBs finish as a top 10 QB.
Well, think about Steven last year picked up Deshaun Watson, and he was going for the greatest pace ever as a quarterback.
Case Keenum.
Yeah. So definitely, I think Marcus Mariota would be a breakout. My next one, I'm going to shift to the wide receiver position, Chris Hogan. So he only caught like 40-something passes last year with the Patriots, but that was with Julian Edelman, Gronkowski, Dion Lewis being there, and all that good stuff. They had a lot more depth at the wide receiver position. So I, myself, being a biased Patriots fan, I'm kind of concerned, but I'm not concerned about Chris Hogan. I'm concerned about our wide receiving core. So Chris Hogan, I think, is going to put up very good numbers. He's going to be a solid wide receiver, too. On his worst weeks, he's going to be a flex or a wide receiver 3, so I have no issues with putting him in my lineup every single week. Even with Gronk in there, we'll see when Edelman comes back, but there's only really three receivers out there that I would even trust. So I think Chris Hogan this year easily is going to be a top 20 wide receiver. And he's being drafted right now as 25, so I think he's going right about where I would consider him, because in our league, that would be a wide receiver too. So I think that's actually a really good position for him, and I think whoever gets him is going to get a lot of value out of that. And I don't think you have to reach on Chris Hogan. So
no, I think he's going exactly where he's at. There was breaking news that old Eric Decker, shout out to Eric Decker, always being a part of our fantasy league for the last 8 years or 7 years. But yeah, I think that anytime you're playing with Tom Brady, you're always going to have a high ceiling. I think the only risk that comes with him is just the injury thing.
Yeah.
Because he was pretty banged up last year, but
that's true.
Outside of that, though, I don't see why he couldn't put up those numbers.
If he stays healthy, there's nothing really going on there. Maybe James White goes out in the backfield and into a wide receiver, like a slot position, like Sony Michel maybe, but that's not a given. So we'll see. The Patriots always shocked us, but I think out of anybody there, Tom Brady, Gronk, and Chris Hogan will be the most consistent players, and we know they can score a lot of points.
Yeah.
So now let's go on. Let's shift it. Let's go over here, and who's going to be your bust? Who are we talking shit about? So
if we're talking shit. It's a big old pile of shit in my mouth. I'm gonna throw out Brandon Cooks, maybe because I do have a little bit of animosity towards him since he was on my squad last year and really did not put up the numbers I was hoping for when I made that trade. The little Steve in there really pissed me off. But yeah, so he goes to the Rams. I think he's a good player. I just don't see him putting up, numbers he's actually even had, in prior years. I think he's going to regress even more because going to the Rams, yeah, it's a better offense, but so many mouths to feed. The main focal point's going to be Todd Gurley there. You got Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. I'm not really sure how it's just all going to play out. And I think that a lot of Brandon Cooks' points come from big play-making ability. And so, we'll just see what he does. I just don't see it happening this year. I still think he'll be a good player, and I think he'll be serviceable, of course, but I don't see him top 20.
Yeah. And so he's being drafted right outside the top 20 at wide receiver 21 right now. Just ahead of Chris Hogan and, just behind Demaryius Thomas and stuff like that.
The way I always see it, especially in our league, it's always about name. Mm-hmm. If it's a big name out there, I'm I can just see somebody just being like, oh, it's Brandon Cooks. Like, I got to snag him up right now.
For sure.
You know?
And that's the thing about it with him is, like, I definitely think he's not going to do as well as much. He's not going to do as well as, like, how they think he's going to do because they paid him, like, $15 million a year.
Yeah.
But, like, the thing about it is, like, he's either going to be a bust or a boom. Like, he's going to be a top 10 wide receiver or he's going to be dropping down to the lower, like, 20s to, like, 30 maybe.
Well, and fantasy is all about consistency week to week, right? That's how you win. You win games when you lose, really. And I just see that, like, maybe it's coming from personal experience again, but, 1 week you have a top 10 finish, and then all of a sudden, he's putting up, like, 5 points that next week and everything. And it's just so up and down. You're on this emotional roller coaster with them.
Yeah.
You just want to blow your freaking brains out.
All right.
Or take a fat bong rip.
So we know how Dylan feels about Brandon Cooks. Okay, so next guy that looks like you have sounds like somebody that a lot of people like, and you're obviously on the other side of the fence here. So.
Yeah, so many of you might actually disagree with me on this, but Rashad Penny, I do not believe that he is going to – I don't believe he's going to be like Kareem Hunt from last year. I know he's getting a lot of comparisons to Kareem Hunt, and I think there's a lot of reasons to go against that. I mean, he's got the physical ability, he's a freak athlete, and he's probably arguably the most diverse back on that, like in the backfield for the Seahawks.
Yeah. But
he's still got Chris Carson there, who right now he's looking amazing, and there was even whispers about him being a bell cow back. But on top of that, it's a shitty offensive line. They've been horrible for the last couple of years, and I don't really see any.
They tried, Dwayne Brown. That was good. I think it'll be a little bit better, but I don't think it's going to be. You're not looking at an elite offensive line there whatsoever.
Well, if you think about it, so okay, they play against the Rams twice a year. They play against the 49ers, which, if anything, on their defense, I'd say their defensive line is their biggest strength.
Yeah.
Plus, the draft obviously helped them. But then you also have who's the other one I'm trying to think of? Oh, the Cardinals, which are always a little bit more stout. I don't know about the Cardinals this year, but my point is that I just don't see that Seahawks rushing attack. For one, they have Russell Wilson, obviously, and so to me, it's always going to be like a pass-first kind of offense until they show me something otherwise.
Yeah.
But I think it's just the biggest factor, really, is just battling with Chris Carson.
And so, they got the Eagles this year, too, and we obviously know how good that defense is.
Yeah.
So I think that's like, myself, I could see myself getting Rashad Penny, and the reason why is just because the potential there. Like, Chris Carson's not a for sure thing. Like, he wasn't a for sure thing last year. Obviously, a freak injury happened to him, but,
he was putting up great numbers until then.
The thing about it is I
think Nutt alluded to that.
You don't waste a first round pick on somebody, especially a running back, and then you just don't use them.
No,
so.
I agree with that. But let me ask you this then. So if you draft Rashad Penny, are you drafting Chris Carson then later, or do you feel like you have to handcuff him with that?
Honestly, I think in today's fantasy, obviously everybody's always talking about getting handcuffs, but I don't necessarily think that just because you draft somebody that you need to get their handcuff anymore.
Yeah.
I'm really thinking people are just looking for production. I don't necessarily think you have to draft Chris Carson. Obviously, Chris Carson's going a little bit behind Rashad Penny, and I think the reason why is because Rashad Penny comes back. They expect him to take over that spot. So we'll just have to wait and see, It's I don't think you necessarily have to draft Chris Carson. It would be a smart idea, but then I think you're wasting another valuable pick on somebody. You get like a Calvin Ridley at Chris Carson's position or something like that, So you get somebody with a little bit higher floor, but a higher ceiling too.
I guess I'm just kind of going off of the recent news I keep hearing about Chris Carson.
No, for sure.
So
which, like I said, you never know with the Seahawks. So
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna talk some shit about Mike Evans. Sorry, COD had him last year. Didn't teach.
Got taught.
Yeah, seriously. Top 10 wide receiver every year, they're saying, but only one time he's really finished in the top 12 wide receivers. So this guy's consistently being drafted really high. I think the real problem is that the whole Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is so questionable, whether it's James Winston, the quarterback, whether, they have a running game. It's just such it always fluctuates so much, and I don't think that anybody on that team is really going to be a consistent fantasy starter this year. Mike Evans will get his targets and all that good stuff, but I don't think it's going to be to the point where he's getting drafted at wide receiver 9. In our league, he could potentially he could possibly go in the first round at the very end, but he'll definitely be going early in the second round. myself, I just couldn't see myself picking Mike Evans, and just because I've seen what Cody had to go through last year,
Oh yeah.
and I don't trust Ryan Fitzpatrick, and when James Winston comes back, I don't know how he's going to react because it sounds like he's an emotional wreck right now, and
It's probably a good thing you're moving on from the Bucks, not.
yeah. So just don't go to anybody from the AFC East because I'll shit on them just like I do Chief. All right, so that's what I'm talking shit about, and then I'm also talking shit about Demaryius Thomas. Fuck you, Demaryius Thomas. I had you last year on my fantasy team. You didn't do shit for me, and then I traded you, and then you actually had some progressive weeks. So I honestly don't think that they got any better quarterback. Case Keenum's decent, but he's been looking like shit in the preseason, and I don't trust Case Keenum whatsoever. Quarterback play is so it's so valuable, especially when you're coming to people like possession wide receivers, like Mike Evans, possession wide receiver, Demaryius Thomas, possession wide receiver. They need to catch these passes, and if you're not accurate and they got these big bodies and you're throwing all these these red zone targets to them, but they can't catch the ball because it's not there, it's like it's pointless.
Yeah.
And that's what I think Demaryius Thomas comes down to. He's not going to get 100 yards a game. He's not going to be an Antonio Brown or anything like that. You're going to get 60 yards out of him, and you're going to hope for a TD or something like that. I just don't think the Broncos' offense is going to be as good. So I really think he's being
as good, or do you think that? I mean, do you think they'll be better than last year?
Well, obviously, I think they'll be better than last year. And just because if they find something, they find that gem in Royce Freeman, and Royce Freeman just teaches and gets the running game going because they got a decent offensive line. Ryan Clady was out last year with an ACL, so he's back, in which it's a good offensive tackle right there. So he's just being drafted as wide receiver 17. I'm not taking him over Chris Hogan. Like Chris Hogan, he's being drafted at wide receiver 25. Like that's an eight plus minus right there. Like Chris Hogan, I think is going to put up far more points than Demaryius Thomas would. And the reason why is just because I think that workload, and I think Cortland Sutton's also going to be a breakout. So like I think that's
you still have Daniel Sanders there.
Exactly, yeah. So there we go. So we got our bust, we got our breakouts. All right.
You let us know if we're talking shit or talking sense.
It's true. Go on the forum board. You can always post. Shout out to Nut for that website. Mm-hmm. So, all right, let's go on to our next segment. Who will teach and who will be taught? So this is going to be a segment talking about our league, our users, and everything like that. So, Dylan, who do you think will be taught this year?
Well, I mean, come as no surprise, but I definitely think Trone's going to be taught. It's just hard to steer away from Trone. I mean, 1 playoff appearance in 7 seasons. It's pretty god awful. No trades. I'm like,
you think this year Trone might put together, hey, I'm not trading and I've only made the playoffs 1 time. Maybe he'd be like, hey, I need to do a trade, or maybe I need to draft differently. Who knows?
I know, and I feel Trone to be as a very open-minded person, but for some reason when it comes to fantasy, he's just so set in his ways.
Yeah.
I think he's overly due for a Sacco. I'm surprised he hasn't made it there yet, and so I look forward to. But at the same time, I hope he does well. I like seeing people that have played shitty before turn it around, makes our league more competitive. But I'm sorry, Trone, I just don't see it happening, bud.
Yeah, that's 100% definite for me, and history backs it up. Like Dylan said, the one playoff appearance, you can look at the Nut Report.
Statistics.
The Nut Report is this is the analytics, and sometimes you just can't fight against that stuff. Science is science.
And then my other person, another familiar face, but good old Chief. Boy, I cannot.
What's up, Sacco?
Cannot wait for you to enjoy your Sacco punishment in Vegas, bud.
Woo!
We'll make sure to get it on video for all the people not there, of course. Whether we do it live or if it has to be, pre-recorded or whatnot. But
for sure,
we will make it happen. You guys will surely enjoy it. I guarantee you that. But yeah, it's another thing with the statistics. Chief. He has made a couple playoff appearances. He's had some decent seasons, if you want to call it that. But overall, I don't know if it's the drafts, going back to like Andrew Luck being taken in the first round. Some of those things I'm like,
or the auto drafts.
Or the auto drafts, right?
You'd never hear the end of that.
And it amazes me too, because, the last couple of drafts, I don't think he's been shitty. So I don't really know what the excuse is there, bud.
That's another one where you look at the Nut Report and it's just consistent. There's Trump, there's Chief, and there's Trump. Like they're right next to each other right there. And then there's another tier, but there they are down here still. So it's just those are definitely givens.
Prove me wrong, boys.
Yes,
I'd like to see
good.
it.
Yes. All right. So a couple people that I think are going to get taught. I think Gabi this year is going to get taught, and he's been pretty. He's been pretty solid the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Definitely not up in that top tier, but he's been staying in the middle range right there. I just think Gabi and Gare have like this weird history of trading with each other, and I don't care what Thug says. Oh, this one trade ended up working better for Mitch. Well, there was like 7 other trades that were involved too. So like, let's think about that. I don't know. I just think that Gabi likes to trade. He likes to be indecisive with his team. He's always mixing and matching. And also the fact that he is going to be in Belize. I'm hoping that he has some good internet connection, or maybe he's not like out in the jungle getting too shitty or get lost or something like that. It doesn't make it to the draft. He gets auto drafted.
Yeah.
So that could play a factor as well. But I just think that Gabi, I think that he makes 1 or 2 bad trades this year. Just trying to put some pieces together, and it kind of just falls downhill for him.
I am interested to see how Gabi drafts. That's gonna be one of the more intriguing things of the draft.
For
to
sure.
mention that before. You just picture him sitting out in the jungle with a bunch of monkeys sitting on his shoulders, like.
That sounds about right. Maybe Jinx is down there visiting him or something like that. Hanging out. And then my other guy that's going to be taught, it's going to be Jesse. Jesse, he's had since I've been in the league, a couple good seasons, but he's also had a sacco since I've been in the league. I haven't seen much difference. I don't like it when he drafts. Some of his drafts are questionable, some of his picks and things like that. So I think that Jesse he stays in that same range that he's been in. He's never really up there in that playoff consideration, but at the same time, was he in the playoffs last year, Jesse? I can't remember if he was in the playoffs last year. I don't believe so.
No, I think he just missed out.
Possibly. So
I'll have to double check the note report on that.
So, but I just think with Jesse's draft strategies, I don't know. I've seen, every year that I've seen it, especially if you want a Sacco too, like it just seems like they kind of just like correlate with one another.
On the Mount Rushmore of Sacco.
Yeah. I was almost there once.
Maybe Jesse, you just followed the tradition of your beloved Beeves. Just getting shit on.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's get to the next part. Who's going to teach?
Well, again, no familiar faces here. I would have to say Thug, of course. Gare had 42 100-plus point games in the 7 seasons we've been in, which is by far more than anybody else. I mean, I think in perspective, I only had 19, so it pisses me off, but I'll be willing
I'm
to
like the
accept
second least, I think, or I think I'm definitely the second least. I think I have like 11, so.
Yeah, and yeah, fuck Doug. But, I mean, as much as you want to hate, you have to respect him too. It's just like the Kobe Bryant of basketball, and like, I just think that Garrett, his drafts are always decent, and sometimes they're better than like most, but I didn't never say he has like terrible drafts. It's just he always is the person to make the right acquisitions in the middle of the year.
Definitely good at trading.
He's got that whispering tongue, little flick to the like.
My number 1 rule: never trade with Thug.
Snake tongue.
I'm going to stick to that. Thug tried to trade with me last year, and I said, nope, I'm not trading at all because that's my number 1 rule.
Just whispering sweet nothings into your ear to get your players, but but yeah, so I think he'll be up there, of course. It's hard to argue against that. Garrett's always consistent.
All right, give me number 2.
It's got to be the Nut Report. No, just kidding. But yeah, Nut. Always has a solid draft and does the same thing. The players, that's what, if there's any trends that we're spotting out of all of it, it's trading, right? I mean, I feel like people who trade in the league and are active on the waiver wire, now granted, maybe not, you don't have to be as active as some others, but for instance, not trading whatsoever, Trout, obviously you could see the effects of that. And so, yeah, I think that by doing that, Nut's been successful at that, and he's always had a solid squad. Usually makes the playoffs. I'm surprised he
actually has percentage.
Yeah, highest winning percentage. I'm surprised he hasn't won a ship yet. He always taught me in the playoffs, so teach me a lesson, huh?
We've been taught. All right, yeah, for sure. So those are 2 consensus ones. I think every single year, they have a winning record. They always make it to the playoffs. So definitely something. One year Nut will win that ship, and we just don't know when. but one day it will happen.
So do you have any players a little more off the wall or
Players?
players in our league, teams?
Oh, for sure. So COD. So I think COD is gonna hop on that high horse and he's gonna just ride to this playoffs this year. I don't think he's gonna fall behind, be bent over by the horse. This year, I think he'll be doing the bending over. I think ever since I've been in the league, COD has definitely been a consistent player. He's won a ship. I think he makes it back up there to the playoff contention. We've missed him up there. It's never fun not getting the shit on COD in the playoffs. So no Sacco, no bottom of the bracket this year for COD. I think he has a good draft. Doesn't get plagued by injuries again. I think he rides back up there. Last, yourself, I'm going to call on Dylan. Dylan's obviously been a consistent player. We can say that because he's won two ships back to back. So first ever user to ever do that. So congrats, Dylan. Yeah, that's all you're gonna get from me. But yeah, I think Dylan, he's obviously on his goddamn phone all day long doing mock drafts, and he's listening to podcast after podcast instead of music at the gym. He's pretty nutso about this stuff. So he does do enough research to the point where I'm fairly confident that you will make the playoffs and you will try to make a run for that ship.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Yes, of course.
This town is a lonely town, not the only town like this town.
Biggest predictions. Dylan, do you have any predictions or expectations that you think are going to happen or you can foresee happening in Vegas?
Yes, I think it's going to be an epic trip for one. Super stoked for it. I see COD falling asleep before 10 o'clock. And I could definitely see Calvin becoming white girl wasted, sitting in the chair with his eyes rolling in the back of his head.
Yeah, I just want to see this.
Yeah.
That's just some Chris Breezy.
Yeah, but lots of blackouts. Actually, we talked about maybe not trying to black out as hard so we can actually remember things. That would be nice.
Yes, I think remembering thing would be good. Chief, maybe bring that that GoPro with you. Catch it all on film. That'd be pretty.
Yeah, that'd
pretty
actually
dope.
be pretty dope for real.
Definitely need it for your psycho punishment. So we'd like you to bring that. But yeah, I think honestly it's going to be a pretty good shit show. Are we playing beer pong inside of the?
I believe so. I think we're gonna try and make it so we can play some beer pong.
Yeah, we should just do it. Just not like I feel like the table might be glass. Let's just not break it or something like that. I feel like that's happened to us a lot of times, especially in hotels. So
yeah, this is a nice hotel, so let's try not to fuck it up too hard.
yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Even though I think it's under Steven's name, so
Maybe we can go a little harder than we're thinking. Shout outs to Mav for coming out and basically letting us know he's not going to be able to make it. We obviously love you.
yes.
Yourself comes first, and then the league comes second. So we're all here. We all support you. So whether or not you make it out there, we love you, Mav, and we hope you have a good fantasy draft. Whether it's in Sin City with us or in the SoCal. So
It definitely takes a real man and an original Maverick to make such a bold decision, and it's very respectable. So yes, we love you, Matt. And if you do change your mind, we definitely look forward to that. But
yep,
we'll see.
You know where to find us.
Yes, sir.
I say we will miss out on the Mav versus Jesse, yearly brawl. So
Yeah, I was looking forward to taking some bets there.
yeah,
Maybe win some money on that. I'm not sure what the odds would be for Matt.
It's I might have been putting my money on Jesse. Just saying, But besides that, it sounds like we're trying to get some planning going. But you know how this group works, and you know how we roll.
I think we'll be fine. Like honestly, the loose plans that we have now, I mean, it's a good foundation. So I think that once we get there, we might change our mind on some stuff, but at least we kind of have an idea of what we want to do and everything.
Yeah. It sounds like everybody wants to go to a buffet for sure.
Yeah, be teaching.
Strip club would be cool. Just saying, if anybody wants to join. But yeah, I think honestly, just being in the nice heat and hanging out on the strip sounds good to me. Drinking and doing some extracurriculars sounds like a blast to me. I'm pretty excited, pretty stoked. Can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
Vegas and fantasy are definitely number one, number two thoughts on my mind right now. It's already school, but you're on the back burner.
Yeah, definitely wish all you guys are making it there. Nut, Shimer, Trike, Gobby, be cool. But you guys are all teaching, doing your own thing, so always much respect to that. Definitely look forward to conversing with you guys during the draft there too, talking some shit, maybe talking some sense.
Yes.
But yeah, it'll be a good time. I'm pretty stoked for all of it, so it's gonna be a good year.
I think so too. I think this is gonna be a good year. I think it's awesome what we're doing, especially thanks Nut for the figuring out what to do with all the league dues and everything like that. I think that's actually a really good thing. The majority obviously went for putting some money aside for the shipping and also extra expenses that happen within the league. So I think that's actually a really good thing for us to have because nobody wants to just have to Venmo out of nowhere. Everybody would rather just take it out of the pot and just have to worry about it at the beginning of the season and not at the end.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good thing.
Shout out to the Quality Underground too, our friends over there. Kind of helped inspire this video, and of course Mavs bold predictions. I personally, I know Christian enjoys it too, and I'm sure everyone else does. But it's pretty fun when we're active in the league and posting stuff. And now that we actually have a website where we can put stuff on there, I hope this kind of helps encourage others to maybe jump in there and do
Let's
some
get creative, boys.
Yeah.
That's what this league's all about. This is fun. It's fantasy football. It's competition. It's we're making some money, but overall it's about fun and just
bragging
being able
rights.
to bragging rights, having a good time with everybody. So I think being creative is awesome and just speaking up and being out there. Whether it's in the you're creating your own content, going onto the forum, or doing a Discord chat, anything like that. I think it's really good. But I think that's going to conclude today's episode. We'll be doing this week to week, recapping each weekly season, regular season. We'll go off into the playoffs, all that good stuff. We'll have special guests later on. We're pretty excited for this.
And we welcome any feedback and criticism. Always open to that. So if you guys got any suggestions or, if anybody wants to try and hop on here, I'm sure we can figure that out. Might need some nut help there, but we'll make it happen.
All right. Well, besides that, from T-Pain,
From Dill.
thanks for rocking in the free world.
Doot, 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 doot.
Doot, doot.